in their children, which comes from a godly place because, I mean, speaking as someone who once carried a life in my body, oh, so such a mysterious event. It's just a weird thing to be conscious that what's in your body will one day run up and down in the world. You're consumed by thoughts about the future of this child. What will he be like? Personality. How will I provide and care for him? I mean, it's either going to depress you or excite you. If you don't think you have the means, it will depress you. If you have the confidence to create an economy into which this child is cared for or is received, sorry, then it excites you because you just imagine the things you can do and will do to make a life for this child. And you have to imagine, what will he do? How will he or she contribute to the world? And how do I prepare this child for what the world involves? There's no parent, nobody, and I suspect too that even with the men, so Percy, it's going to be your time to say something. Even for fathers who are not literally carrying the weight of it, you must be anticipating and thinking, what will be in my arms
And
very shortly, and how do I make sure that this child,
well, there's excitement. There's a whole lot of excitement. Just reflecting on,
going back to those days,
yes, and still do, with expectancy. It's gonna happen, and as I've shared, for me, I was present in the delivery room for all three of my children.
you receive them
They received,
into the world
well, the nurse received
and
Daniel,
hand it to you.
but the others I received. I was there.
But
So it-
after you got one, they say expert.
I don't know if I became
Did
an
this before?
expert.
Oh, come,
I
come,
don't know if I
daddy.
became an expert. And then one of them was eager to come out. So
You almost drop him.
no, no, no. He was so eager that they had to slow down his rate because mommy had to be put on bed rest. And I said, hold on, stop your
Oh,
he was
that eager.
He was that eager to
Okay,
come out.
okay,
And that
okay.
in itself has manifested in terms of how
His
he
personality.
Yeah.
Which one is it, John T?
Janty, yes.
That's my case.
He wanted, no. I just said, no, you can't come with. And she
had to speak to him.
And put him on bed rest and put her on bed rest. So, and then when she went, I remember it, she went and I said, well, you've been trying, but he wanted to come. So
He keeps knocking. This one here keeps saying,
no, it was.
can I come out?
No, that was, as you talk about the fascinating. But then you think about what you need to do as a dad.
Yes.
And one of the things that I say to couples, especially to men, shifted. Yeah. Your four roles you basically play when you are
A father?
a father. No, but first as a husband, in terms of your priest, in your home, you're prophetic. You speak to, you call the things that are not over your wife. In Ephesians 5, it speak about the bride and what you do with the word. You wash her the word, so that she becomes without spot or wrinkle or blemish. The word is important in terms of. So we, as a couple, I all of our children.
Do I have wrinkles?
Yeah,
It's Lois speaking the word.
draw me in your thing,
No, I mean, I know that I don't have wrinkles.
No, you don't have physical
But now I
wrinkles.
understand. Now I understand why. Lowell must be speaking the word.
The word. But so they are named prophetically in
Yes.
terms of how their character, and you see it being manifested over them. So even as a parent, I see some children with some nonsensical names. I say, what does the name mean? Eh? Or we just use our name and think I just make it up and say, okay.
Hey, don't knock that, you know.
No, wait. And you know in the Guinness Book of Records, there's the girl with the longest name, and I said, oh, they just were on a roll with that name, but just in terms of calling it forth, and they were strong with that, even for Benjamin. his daddy changed his name because his when
His
his
mom.
mother died in childbirth, and she says, you cause me pain. The father said, no, 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 no,
I'll
no,
give him that
maybe
the
not,
name.
maybe not. I mean, that is not going to happen. And his name is changed, Benjamin, son of my strength, my right hand. So names are very, very important to us as individuals and even as fathers. I'm speaking to the fathers. You are the one that creates, cause things that are not to happen. Affirm your child. And I'm speaking that even in counseling in recent times with myself, when you people are having challenges now, and when you trace the history, oh, daddy never did what he needed to do. Daddy rejected. Like when you when he says I'm pregnant with your the lady informs him, I say, no, I pick me.
Yes,
Eventually, all
or disappear.
disappear, all disappears.
People are disappearing.
And that leaves
And cause,
scars
yes, and cause the mother to say some things
over the
in
child,
her,
in even the
in
womb.
the, yes, yeah, because
And studies are
big,
coming more and more what to do in terms of that child in the womb, what the environment it affects
yeah.
that child. And so that is how the spiritual begin. A child not born yet, but you can say or speak things over them. And interestingly, that is speaking to the womb, and the child is born, and the father speak and they turn and change. Because they've been hearing
Recognize the
that, they
voice.
recognize that
Yeah,
voice.
yeah,
They recognize. So
yeah.
we are understanding when the nature of our creator, he spoke and he formed things. So yeah, but
You touched a nerve that I want to pluck a little bit, and it's just the importance of the environment you create
yeah.
for receiving your children. And I look at what's happening in Jamaica now and wonder, not idly, wonder with substance and intentionality, how much of what we see being manifested in the young people of today comes from the sorrowing and the regret and the pain of the mothers in particular, but of the parents as children are conceived under duress or stress at times of hunger and pain.
It impacts, man.
So
There are scientific
and
studies, psychology
and
that has affected, that they say it
what
has an
I'm,
impact
yeah,
on the
of
child.
course. And what I'm seeing is that when we as adults struggle to cope
Yes.
and don't find uplifting ways to cope, when we go into fighting or drug use or stealing or bad tempered conversations because the children are, you are feeling lack in your personal
Peace.
situation, and you're not able to pull anything, any sustenance
So
out
you
of
transmit that to the
relations.
child.
You
You
transmit
speak
it.
that
It's in
into
the
your
environment.
atmosphere,
Yes.
right?
We have to be, and speaking to not the ones now who can prevent that recurrence, we have to be persons who, when we are struck down, we speak positivity, hope, love, forgiveness, and resilience into our own spirit. So, and this is something I do.
You
You're
bounce
gonna
back.
cry.
You're gonna
Crying
cry.
is okay.
That's okay. I tell them all the time.
Yeah.
That's I am just I'm just talking to people, and I'm in because what I do, you counseling and you talking to people and asking questions.
Yeah.
And you ask a question and the person start
It
ball.
just opened a
They just it
floodgate.
just it just
Crying
them
is
just start
okay.
them just start, and I say I say it's all right.
It's
It is what
fine.
God has
And
built into you that
that's your
helps to
release
release pride.
valve.
Yes,
Yes.
man. And I
So how
say,
many
see,
times have you cried with your, okay. I dare say in counseling of the world, meaning, the arm's length medical type relationship, you're not supposed to cry.
They say you're not supposed to cry, but some of the times they're
Yeah.
saying that people feel your seat and
But
you're
but
bad.
in our world where empathy and carrying your brother's burden is a necessity,
You
how
run
many
out that
times you
burden.
cry?
Well, you know, some me a cry already.
I know.
You know, but
Both the counselor and the
Pastor,
patient.
you know that time I cry
And the
already.
next thing your patient is saying to you, Pastor, don't cry so hard.
What?
Really? No, not so bad. When you
But
see it.
no, but
But Jesus wept when he saw
no, and he was
the sorrow
moving,
of his
feeling,
friends,
feeling
how
with
they sorrowed. And
moving
even though
compassion.
he knew he was going to work a resurrection miracle,
But
still when he saw the
yeah.
sorrow, he was moved to compassion and he too
Remember the
cried.
shortest word in scripture
Yeah,
is
man.
verse.
John 11, verse 35.
Jesus,
Two words. Two
Jesus
words.
wept, and
Jesus wept.
so even as we talk about and we speak about what's happening in our nation at this point in time, I tell people all the time what we see happening is that our people are responding out of the fact that they've been traumatized
Traumatized,
for a very
PTSD.
long time.
Yeah.
And even in terms of the healing that needs to happen in our nation, the fathers in the nation, the leaders in the nation, the spiritual persons in the nation have to somehow help to deal with that.
So it means when you say that, you are calling persons out to take the lead in doing something.
Yeah, man.
All right.
Yes, man.
So we're gonna take our first break of the morning from this location. It's 7 a.m. We're taking a station break. We're gonna be right back. We do need to speak healing
Yeah.
and
Words of
understand
healing.
the process and how does a nation heal. We know how individuals, how people heal, but how does a nation heal? When we come back. Yes.
Best 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Good morning and welcome back. Always a pleasure to be here at the Ligani Club. You know that on Thursdays, this is where the Morning Connection is hosted. For the time being, the truth is it started off as a 6-month relationship two years ago. That's about it, Mr. Producer. About 2 years ago, we said, let's try this for 6 months. And here we are. We're still enjoying it. And we believe it's a blessing to the club also, giving them exposure because many of our listeners have heard and seen and they've come to taste and share in what goes on here. The Ligani Club is only the largest sporting facility under one roof in this nation, possibly the English-speaking Caribbean. 6 squash courts if you play squash, 8 tennis courts, that's a more popular sport, and a swimming pool, gymnasium, to top it, hotel rooms. So if you got to stay overnight in the city, there's a place for you to stay that is really very much like a home away from home. We are just ideally located in the heart of New Kingston, right in the zone of all the big offices, businesses, and additional hotels, so dining opportunities. You're not short of those, but you can dine right here at the Ligani Club. JD's Urban Pub is the restaurant that caters to the needs of our members and guests, and they do a fantastic job. The local breakfast is absolutely first class. There are some people who are partial to fried dumplings.
Yeah.
Someone else really
it's a
does love
wonderful,
ackee and saltfish.
it's a wonderful fried dumpling. They make a wonderful fried dumpling. And I make
Yes.
a wonderful one, but they beat me. So
They beat you?
Yes,
Oh,
ma'am.
oh well, it's okay.
So that's all right.
Scratch that
They-
invitation to breakfast.
No,
And persons like me, I'm partial to corned pork
God,
and pickled mackerel, and
oh, geez.
there's always some kind of steamed vegetable cabbage or pak choy or something. Anyway, you eat as Jamaicans should. Do you know, we had some folks from South Africa stay here in November last year. And let me tell you, they were
enjoyed it.
impressed by how we eat. Well, the first thing is, many people says, oh, we're eating yams and bananas for breakfast.
Oh, they were
That's
asking that
like
question.
dinner food.
Oh,
Yeah,
okay,
yeah.
okay,
Because they would have like pap and some kind of cereal.
okay.
But no,
We-
Jamaicans,
but we- but
we'll
we-
all roll out some stewed chicken.
You know, but we understand it. In terms of eating, you dine like a king in the morning.
Oh, that's how it is?
Yes,
Yeah.
because that's your first meal of the day. After
Yes.
you've broken your fast. And then you
Eat
peak
like
out
a
the
beggar at
beggar
lunch. And then what you do for supper?
Papa.
Oh, by supper time,
It's
you're in prison and have to go to bed early.
Yeah, because you really want when you are sleeping.
When you break your fast,
fast,
that's your biggest meal.
Yeah.
Most important.
When you're sleeping, that you're not putting extra pressure on the brain, because that's when the brain rejuvenates itself and does the healing that it needs to do. So you
when
don't
the
want to be
brain
thinking
cleans
about,
house.
yes, when it cleans out. So, so it's kind of interesting in terms
Yeah, I
of
was
that.
telling someone that if the blood supply is constantly attending to matters in your gut,
You know, so you have a problem.
you're shortchanging the rest of your body. So, and it's why intermittent fasting has taken such a strong hold.
And you don't need to be, you don't eat heavy meals when you go into your bed, because it really doesn't, your body, that's how you put on weight. So you put on weight. Yeah. So anyway, we
We're speaking the virtues of the club.
Yes.
Did we? And yes, JD's Urban Pub. So pass by Ligani Club. We usually have, special events to mark whatever is being
Different- what is
celebrated.
it- what is
So
happening in the
Valentine's
world.
Day is coming up.
Whatever is happening in the world. Because
Yes.
remember, we celebrate Thanksgiving, they have all these different things that
Yeah.
they do. Because they cater to that audience too. So
An international market, you're
right.
saying.
Yeah, that's what they do.
Right. So that's Ligani Club. We're grateful for their support.
And the staff, the staff is superb.
Well, I love it that you say the staff, because many times we call the name of the institution and we don't emphasize that is really people that make it up. It's not just a name. Ligani Club is a whole team of maintenance folks who keep the grounds and keep the physical facilities looking
Right.
fresh and relaxed, because that's a mark The ambience is a relaxed, very natural feel. And then you have the hospitality staff,
Oh man,
the ones
they
who
are
do the
top of the
customer
they are
service,
top of the
yeah.
line. Top
And
of the
in
line.
JD's Urban Pub, you have the wait staff
Yeah.
who really, I mean, any minute now, we'll have to tell them, Lowell, that we're not eating fruits and the like, so they don't do plates for us. But they've been very generous in recent times, just making sure that
We are taken
we're
care
well
of.
taken care of.
And so we so
So you
and
know that it's not familiarity breeds contempt, because we've been here and the treatment gets better.
well it's true. It's
Yeah,
true. Yeah, it's true.
they get more accustomed to us, and they are just so careful of our needs. When I came this morning, the table and the tablecloth and were already set up and here for me. On prior occasions, I go hunt it down from the supplies room, and
Oh wow.
yeah, but this morning I came, table was up and so on and so forth, because you don't know what goes on before you arrive, you know.
I know what goes on before. That's why I lift my hats to the producer and yourself.
Oh,
The work that you put in.
so
Yeah.
you know what goes on here, but you don't come to be a part of it?
Well,
What are you saying to me here?
I'm not saying anything at all.
Oh, you're just lifting your hat.
Yes, I am appreciating the effort.
Yes, which is, yeah. So you know what? The producer is lifting his hat to you, because when we're breaking down the set, you're an invaluable assistant, and you've grown to have some experience now. So he doesn't have to be afraid of you. He's no longer afraid of you participating in that.
I will not say further. I leave it alone. I give God thanks.
Yeah, but sometimes, when we get here ahead of the crew that does the cleaning up and so on and so forth. So if the place has to be swept, we got to get it swept.
That is good.
And yeah, so all hands on deck. We're grateful. So, all right, we've spoken to our sponsorship, and Percy's dancing. Why?
No. Me choking.
Do I need to smack you on the back?
No. I'll
Seen
be all right.
seen on screen, on camera, Minette beating Percival. Oh boy,
But you know that the end of this month, the domestic
violence.
become have the regulations and
Yeah.
thing. And then you know that in the act, what the minister said, whoever is responsible for gender and affairs, they can now move the penalty for the penalties that go with the different offenses. They
Yeah.
don't have to go back to court to move that. So they put that in the act. And also, they have widened the list of persons who you can put protective orders against. So that's a good thing. That's the learning and the listening in terms of what what is happening.
Now listen, Percival, why are you laughing?
You know, you may observe.
I don't want to be a source of amusement for Percy,
I'm just. But we were speaking about environment, and we were just talking about you as a mom versus myself as a father, and what we do in terms of creating environments, and we were taking the issue even larger in terms of what we see being manifest in our nation in terms of a lot of our people. And I was saying, as we took the break, the whole thing of trauma.
No, actually, you had gone deeper, and I don't want you to forget it. You spoke about what it is that leaders need to do to begin the healing.
Healing process.
Right, yeah.
And so the whole responsibility in terms of setting an environment, in terms of the marital relationship, I want to use that as an example and then spread it wider. I say to husbands all the time, you know that you are the chief servant. You are the chief servant. You are the chief servant in this relation. First to your wife, if you use Jesus as an example, he was willing to give himself up for his bride. And I jokingly said to when couples come to me for premarital, I say, you ready for dead for him, man? So that's a shocking question. But what the pastor said to me, I know. I say, well, some ready to say yes. Yeah, man, I'm ready to go. But I'm saying, in some instances, and in a few instances, you might have to physically give your life in order for her to survive. But I'm just thinking of the fact that you're putting her needs ahead of yourself and taking a back seat to ensure that she is okay. Your wife, is okay. It is that agape type of love that we're speaking about, that selflessness that is needed, which Jesus, if you look at his example, he was willing to give of himself for his bride. Okay. So you're called to be leader and ultimately to be responsible for what happens. And and in saying that, I was reflecting on the leaders of our nation. And in some countries, some persons have been recognized as the father of the nation. In terms of the country was born and what they had to go through and the sacrifice that they had to make, personal sacrifice and other sacrifice. And I'm just thinking now, with the trauma that has happened, and you have alluded to it, in terms of what the leader of this nation has to do in terms of righting the wrongs that have been done in this nation, in terms of going back to originality of purpose. And I'm going, okay, what is, not the Governor General, but what is the Prime Minister going to do? We've spoken about repentance in order to free it up the responsibility of leadership and set an example in this nation. What then is he going to do? Because he can't say, is the person ahead of me who caused it to happen. I am the leader now. What it is, this is your time. What are you going to do as a leader? And the question is asked, is he really up to the task in terms of shifting? He was touted as the person who was born after independence. So he come with fresh ideas and things, but he's looking at a lot of things like, he said, really? What are you saying? You understanding my train of thought? What you
Absolutely.
think? What do you
You
think?
know that I'm there already, because we're always looking at the role of leaders in effecting change. And my mind drifted to the word stewardship.
Yes.
Because we often focus on the leadership title, and with it comes a lot of authority and deference.
Right.
And the idea that a leader is really someone who works for the greatest good of those he leads,
right,
is something that falls into second place. We see more the leader being the head table, getting the benefits and the honor that comes with the position, but not really focusing on the work and the responsibility, the liabilities then that come with the position. So I just started to switch out leader for steward.
Yes.
Because
I servant.
Yeah, well,
One man did say most chief servant.
chief servant, yes, but that is said more as a nod towards a posture of humility than really accepting the job, the tasks that come with being a servant. Because a servant has no concept of self. A servant exists to meet the needs of whomever he or she serves.
True.
But we cannot separate our servants from their ego. They're very focused on the trappings of the office which they occupy and legacy, and they're not dead yet.
Yay.
But
Jesus was servant leader, you know. He said if you
Yes.
wanted, you must serve. You want to lead and serve. And he turned the paradigm upside down in terms of when he said to them, those guys just rule it and lord it over. But I say to you, if you're going to lead, you must learn to serve the people. I put that in there.
I would rather say he established the paradigm as opposed to turn it upside down. Because remember, in the world is always imitating what it pulls from the spiritual realm. So it's a copy, and I suspect that much the same way that images have to be reversed so you could see them for what they really are. When it pull from when you pull it from the spiritual realm, you put yourself in that primary position, so you don't even see that what you have pulled needs to be flipped so you can see it for what it is in your
really
realm.
was. Okay.
Like, the mirror effect, you're touching one ear in the mirror, it looks like it's the other ear. Yeah. So I feel like some of that is really what happens when you want to copy something. You copy it, but you copy the copy.
Yeah.
As opposed to really fashioning what you're doing of the original design. What Christ did when he girded his waist and kneeled down and washed the dirty feet of 12 men. What he did was to say, this is the standard. Not, I am changing your standard. He's saying, this is the standard. What you're doing is plain wrong.
Okay.
You want to be in that place where your leadership matters and is fruitful?
Yeah.
This is the standard.
So you must do it.
Absolutely. And some of the parables that he told, the ones about stewardship in particular, a man leave you in charge of something and say, keep it until I return. When he comes back, his expectations and your behavior had better be in alignment for you to be rewarded.
Correct.
So for those who offer themselves for service and find that the service, their period of service is over a traumatized nation that is limping and hurting and quite snarly because we're angry.
Yeah, angry. Yes. it's snarly right as we speak. Yeah, there's so much anger.
So much.
Yeah.
So it's not like you get a cooing baby and the baby is cute and giving you kisses. No. What you've found is maybe a nasty teenager who has developed some bad habits and resist authority at every turn.
And why is it that? And
I remember I told you Jamaica is like a teenager in terms of our growth, where we are. I don't even know if we're a teenager yet in world sense. We might be toddlers. That nasty stage where you're saying no and resisting everything and throwing tantrums. And I mean, when you consider, if you put us against America, 60 years versus how many 100 years?
300, 1776.
See what I'm saying? We're toddler. When you put us side by side with long established democracies or nations of the world, put us near to China, we are still a thought in our parents' head.
And those countries, yeah.
Yeah. Those countries where dynasties were well established and, they had order and systems
in place.
And they have history that they can draw on and say, this is who we are. For 1,000 years, we stood in this position. People who draw on that kind of history have something very different.
Them DNA from
very different from a 60-year-old.
7:30 break as you are into
warming to my theme.
Yeah, but we when we come back after our 7:30 break, we will explore it further, the steward versus servant leadership, because even as servant leader, there are certain characters that they say you need to have. So it can be steward, servant. Anyway, when we come back.
Yes, I see you're getting. Welcome back. This is the Morning Connection. We are at the Ligani Club and the sun is really warming up the place. I'm so sorry, Earl. You're getting warmer too because you say it is now minus 9 degrees Celsius. And a few days ago, I think it was minus 13.
Yes.
So, see, Canada
yes.
is warming up too. A whole different kind of warming up from what's going on here in Jamaica. The sun is out, thank God. I definitely am one who was born to be in the sunshine.
You're going to survive in the cold climes.
No, sir. Absolutely do not like it. Love the fashion, the coats and the hats and the
booties,
scarves and the,
When I picked up my daughter on Saturday, she was in her booty and things. So, all right. Because she came out of the cold.
Right. Yeah, so I love that. But beyond it, hey, man was not meant to be in that kind of weather. That's for bears, polar bears. Anyway.
Really, no?
Yeah, I'm just messing with you, Earl. It's good to see you online. Thank you. I guess you're all snuggled up and watching us. Great. Oh, Bevan Fairweather, good morning. I love what you're saying here. It's tough, but there's some truth in it. She says having children without purpose is immoral and wickedness to the child.
Oh Lord have mercy.
Wickedness.
Well, she not mincing words.
No, but you see, she was a principal, right, Bevan? That's you?
Yes.
She was a principal at the school. So she would have seen many children come through that is clear that this one, the parents just drop them here.
And leave them alone.
And they're growing, they're raising themselves, which is a sad thing. Happens sometimes where children don't get the best out of society or out of their parents, but that's not what we're about. We speak a whole different kind of reception for the babies. And you, Percival, you're just kind of opened the conversation about leaders playing their role in
bringing about restoration
and healing. I've seen a couple of things happening. Maybe lip service, but Apostle Paul says, so long as Christ is preached,
you will see that. Yeah. Okay.
You'll see some fruit coming out of it. Restorative justice
is happening
as a key element in repairing
and I've been a part of that system as a justice of the peace. Yeah.
Yes, you've.
Yeah, man. Up at Augustown, they've been a forerunner. So they regularly on a weekly basis do restorative justice system, and it's interesting. The case that I was on, it was hard, but after 2 or 3 hours,
got a resolution
to it because the people them.
So do you monitor your clients to see how the resolution is settling in?
No, not really. They do.
They do,
because
and
he's signing up. So when it's done, yeah, because the person sums up, I sit, I listen, I hear.
So you're kind of like what, the judge?
No,
what is your role? The mediator?
One of the mediators.
Okay, how many do they use? Or depend on the complexity?
I'm just remembering what happened.
Okay.
So there was person who was facilitating, or I was a mediator, only one.
All right, so I want to say something about it though, because I think it might have been Minister Chuck.
Yeah.
Being very gleeful in his announcement concerning embracing this as a policy direction for government.
But
government's role in it. So it's not something made up by government.
That's something in a scripture a long time.
Government's role is to provide the infrastructure for people to do what God has already set for them to do. So
good. So that is
the only thing he should be doing, and he can't claim any great achievement in that area. You should have as many centers as possible around the nation.
And even using more churches and
use additional, absolutely. So I'm sure churches will make themselves available as a place where people can come and resolve dispute before it overflow in violence.
But remember, Jesus is saying, when you go into the court, see if you can settle before you go to the court, because you don't want to go in front of the court.
Because the magistrate, when he speaks,
that's it.
You get thrown into jail and then you have to give twice as much as what could have been accepted if you were in a mediation with your neighbor. So just on that note, one of the things we tend to do, I remember we interviewed Sizzler
Yes.
And the reason why
The largest
Augustown
in it.
has the I said the first center is because it's an initiative he championed for his community.
Correct.
Because it must come out of a community. That's another thing. Mostly government should just be there building centers, and you shouldn't even have to have a built for purpose restorative justice center. Communities across Jamaica should have facilities already in place where they can do a number of things, including use it for restorative justice hearings. You should have a community center where there are some sporting facilities, little games rooms, homework center. You should have a place where old people can come and do their hobby type activities.
If you talk about community centers, I remember very strongly the community center growing up, where I lived in St. Catherine in
Yeah.
Spanish Town,
Yes.
was a major hub for activities. The Citizens Association in some city. And it's still there today.
Yeah.
So we had the community
Because-
center.
But that's because
You understand?
even NHT as it creates communities
Yes.
should ensure
That there are
that built
green
into the
space.
communities you
Green
have buildings or structures that can be applied to that purpose. So when it comes time for restorative justice, you don't have to try build a uniquely designed
No, man.
center.
You just say it's there.
It's already there.
Yeah.
It's just more things that people layer into it, and your local government
Case for
Ar-
local government.
would maintain the building.
Right. And put it in the budget.
And definitely when you have Labor Day, that's a place where people can come and say, all right, we want to do a painting job or a repair job or something at our community center. And it shouldn't be like one center per parish, because
So it could
parishes
be-
are large.
It should be one community center per community.
Communities should have a place.
Yeah. That's what it used
Yeah.
to be, That's what we
When you-
recall growing
yeah.
up. So there's a
Well,
and
we
it
have
was-
no community center in the
you see,
country.
But ours but in some city, as a community center, which is still there, we had the playing field, we had the netball court. You see here this one.
Yeah, well, you two are cross-talking. We need order.
You need order in the court. But it was the center for us of community life as children growing up. A table tennis
Well,
club was
okay.
there.
So
a
you two
football-
were living in nearby Kingston, so you all had infrastructure. I'm telling you, Mount Moriah, no community center.
But that is
If
the
you
being
want to
of
do
God.
something, but that's where Isaac was offered up for sacrifice.
Yeah, enough God. When I say in Jamaica, back of God.
Back of God. But I'm trying to make a point about
Local
a
government.
persistent lack of infrastructure,
Yeah.
chronic, so that even when policies that are useful for the whole realm are being introduced, there's no infrastructure to catch it across the nation.
That's correct.
And it's not difficult to fix it. It's not difficult because every community have a church or a school room which could be put to purpose, and then you build from there. And every community have land that somebody would donate, so you could build something and begin to roll out these things. This is what our local government template should be looking like, so that the engagement you need at the grassroots to make something like restorative justice functional
It's there.
is there.
So
and
if
and
you have
you
a
were
center
saying,
going, I just say we're having sessions and the person who facilitating the justice of the peace going.
yes,
It works.
yeah.
It works. It works.
Even a senior teacher, or if you,
Yeah,
if
trained.
whatever the situation is, you can get it done. And so, to your point, that each leader who steps onto the platform must regard as his responsibility the nation exactly as he finds it. He can't say, well, 10 generations ago, it should have been built and they didn't build it. You can start from right where you are today and get it done.
And that is important. So I hear it a lot in the discussions, in the backing and forth. You did do that, so we can do it. And I'm saying,
Yeah.
really,
you see,
that-
if the principle of stewardship took dominance over the big man leader,
one-upmanship.
yes, because a steward is someone who is taking care of something, supervising, organizing, dealing with the resources and making sure that there is a healthy state of being. So if when you came in, you saw yourself as a steward, you would do an audit of what you have, look at what needs have to be met, and begin to work out how you're going to prioritize meeting those needs
And
while
then
growing the
communicating it.
base of the resources available
And
to
then
settle it.
communicating that. So
And you couldn't avoid communicating it because the people are there with their empty plate and them broken bodies demonstrating, I need. So you would be the guy saying, okay, they need this, they need that. You'd see yourself as a worker, not as a king who just let everybody else work and bring tribute.
Or the king without any clothes.
Or the naked emperor.
The naked emperor.
So that shift in understanding who you really are when you take this job is important. The ones who are truly important are the people who appoint you.
Yeah. And we spent some time going through what Ord Mitchell was saying. And of course, it now reflects on the persons in local government, the persons who are elected as MP, to fully make themselves aware of what it is they are getting themselves into. And it comes, I believe, with the right mindset. I remember we were sitting here, and I cannot forget the words of the former MP, Minister of State,
Senator Campbell.
who said, he said, most of the people sitting in the house don't really know. They don't go with that plan or vision. Why am I here? So they really can't push policy that will bring about real change for the persons who they are called to serve. And he had said, I go there because I understand, I'm in a rural constituency. I understand how important land is. So his thing was, how do we change land policy that it impacts people's life in a real way? But most people go in there, the people, everybody know me, I have recognition.
Yeah.
But I don't go to that purpose.
No, when you go to reap. You don't go to store.
That is why corruption is so high?
Yeah, you go to reap. Someone has an article in today's paper that says all corruption is based on fraud. An opinion. They say corruption has taken on its own unique meaning where people are no longer offended by it. A time when corruption and stink went together. Because once it's corrupted, it begins to give off a foul odor.
Yeah.
But these days, people don't turn up their nose at corruption. Corruption is considered to be what rich people do. But they were making the point that beneath corruption is fraud. They ran a little cute analogy. They said, if you heard that someone went into the bank and made off with $100 billion, we would declare and participate in an island-wide manhunt and perhaps bring some international resources to bear on it because we'd regard it as thievery. Yet we hear that the cost of corruption is 100 million. And it don't shake us. It don't shake us. Yeah.
The cost of corruption is 5% of our GDP.
So it's a timely opinion because, I mean, you and I have long said it and always said it, what corruption is. Anything that disturbs the normal function of the body has corrupted it. And you got to stamp it out in order to be healthy.
True.
So whether it is a small cold or a big cancer, it get the same treatment.
Well, that is a great analogy. So, whether it is a small cold or the big C, get the same treatment. But we don't do that. We don't in our mindset say it. And Mike says it all the time too. That is because we don't see it as a major challenge to what we of the body politics of what is there. So the stewardship, the leader is a steward. The leader, I said that the leader is servant, and I was in the analogy that Ephesians 5 and what Jesus did. One of the things of a servant leader is empathy. Empathy. You are leaders have empathy.
I'm familiar with the emotion.
No.
I'm
just speaking, but they're not really. They don't
empathize with the plight of our people, and it's demonstrably true because we see where they gave themselves
200%.
200 and odd percent increase while
and
telling teachers and policemen
hold
and
strain
others
for
to hold
30%
strain.
to over 3 years.
Yes, yeah, and threatening them if you don't take it or else. If you don't take it, you can't get it in any good period of time. So far from being empathetic, they have responded like that young prince who says, "My father beat you with what? With whips. I'm gonna use scorpions." They pile it on.
Roboham and Solomon died.
Yeah,
And he never listened to the elders.
the elders.
The worst team. Boss,
Yeah, man.
ease it up.
Yeah, so there's that mindset. The Prime Minister has done something which Fitz Jackson, who was the Don Quixote tilting at that particular windmill and must be surprised by the success. Prime Minister has announced that this change to Portmore's identity will be delayed. They will not go to Parliament with the legislation, which he says has been ready. So,
And been drafted.
So, plucking his nose at Mr. Mitchell, who says that the Parliament is narcoleptic. That particular piece of legislation, he says, has been drafted and waiting and is ready to go to Parliament. But the gentleman leader has very kindly deferred its presentation in Parliament. He says it will not go now. Fitz Jackson has hailed it as a triumph of the people, and I suppose rightly so. He says he has always said that people should be included in these decisions. The people of Portmore should be included in the decision. And of course, he says it's the remit of the ECJ.
Electoral
Commission of Jamaica. Yeah. It's their remit to determine boundaries and so on. Yesterday I was saying that, but the question of where a constituency boundary lies has to do with population density, and there are some technical aspects to it which are not political.
Correct.
The Prime Minister was saying a similar thing. He says there is, I love it when he says the right thing.
You love it when he said the right thing?
Yes, I love it when he said the right thing that we have already said. All right, let me be honest and say it that way. Because it sounds like he's listening, and that's a beautiful thing when somebody listens and then take decision on the knowledge they've acquired.
Or is it political expediency?
Yeah, so here's what Prime Minister says. He clarified. It's interesting the way, I don't know who's, Roddy Matheson of the Gleaner writes this. The Prime Minister is clarifying. When you have said something that is not true and you are now saying the truth, you're not clarifying.
Oh, yeah.
It's a reversal.
They don't clarify. You tell lie, and the only thing you can do is talk truth. So let me not pretty it up.
Yeah,
if you tell lie, and if it's misinformation or disinformation, and the truth comes out, you tell one lie.
There's some way that we use words that just show our heart. Anyway.
I read something online. Somebody was talking about wordsmithing. So it was talking about we know microdam. So the new thing is water retention ponds. So it's microdam, no, it is water retention pond.
Yes, because if you say microdam,
you're
giving credit to the one who came up with it first.
Yes.
So now they're water retention ponds. Okay. Does that mean them have frog and fish? Because that's what ponds have.
Oh my Lord, but go back to what you were making. So no, the truth
that's
is
so
no.
cute.
No, man.
That is absolutely cute.
No, that one that blow my mind. No, but if you tell one lie.
So the report does start by saying, in an apparent about turn by the Andrew Holness administration, Prime Minister yesterday announced that the government will not proceed with efforts to name Portmore Jamaica's 15th parish before the upcoming local government elections. The decision marks a reversal from recent posturing by Cabinet member Everald Warmington, who had declared on a political platform late last year that the establishment of Portmore as a parish was expected to give the government a political advantage in the region. You know, this is right up there with the person who wrote and said, nobody seems appalled by the corruption. But if somebody had gone and stolen $100 billion in cash, you would every one of us would be armed to catch that man.
$100 million.
$100 billion.
$100 billion.
Billion dollars,
or the
not
$6 million
million.
that them take out of the NCP man account and refund it. You know about that one?
Yeah. Well, Yeah. But that's private sector, and we're still doing
The
public
public
sector.
sector.
I can't mix them up though they look alike.
No, they behaving alike.
So one minister of government with the ostensible authority to speak on the matter, that's Warmington, local government, said to the point where people are repeating it ad nauseum, a change is going to be made that will give us a political advantage. He said it not because he's an idiot. He says it because there is a time when the outrageous behavior of people in power caused such offense that God caused them to speak against their own interests.
True.
They reveal the secrets of their heart.
Yeah, that's what happens. Yes.
And
Yes.
you and I have seen it.
Yes. Yes.
Demon
yes.
spirit tell you exactly what it was planning and what it has been doing.
Yes.
And it's not, oops,
no.
God says it so.
Motivation
And
of them are revealed.
this is why I had started to talk about manifestation. Because when people are pushing for certain things to be set right, God will intervene and you will see things happening around you that is better than what you could have done for yourself. No blood lost, no great expenditure on your part. Just it would almost look like magic. People start talk truth and start to say, you know what? You know that I had taken this from your house last week, here I bring it back. It happens in the will of God. So Warmington spoke out his intent, and I'm sure
You think there's a
it's
gag order on Warmington, no?
impossible to enforce.
No, man. I haven't heard him in recent times. And it passed through my brain. I say, you know, them probably
Somebody
that gag
there.
and say, no, don't give Warming the mic at all. Under no circumstances. Do not give him the mic. Because
You must
him going talk,
investigate that.
him going talk
He's
out the
gonna speak
business.
out the strategy.
But he does it all the time.
Yeah, because I'm so glad. It's like you can't help it. Verbal diarrhea. Anyway, he says this thing. It is an outrageous thing to have said. He's not chastised by his party or the prime minister at all.
Nobody
In fact,
came out and said, that's
it's
not our...
only now that the prime minister has announced that he's heading in a different direction, that one could put the two statements side by side and said, one said this, the other one said that. So prime minister says, not so, we're not moving ahead. Yesterday, Holness clarified that while the legislation was ready for parliamentary consideration, it would not be passed until after the local government elections. I love his arrogance. It would not be passed. Now, I know you have the supermajority in the House, but you know that all of them can have diarrhea the day that it should happen and it not pass?
Or some of them can die.
Or I didn't want to pull that one, but yes, you guys are mortal. You can die.
That is why...
This is right up there with the man who says, oh, I've all that
Luke
I
15,
need.
Luke 15.
I
The
shall
rich
just
man who
store it
came
up in a barn and go off
then-
traveling the
And
world.
the Lord said to him, hey,
Thou fool is how it started.
Today I require
yeah,
your
so the
soul
prime
in
minister said
paradise.
it will not be passed until after local government elections. Jackson hailed it as a victory for the people, and rightly so. And as we are moving into the break, I want to leave you with my personal appreciation for the work of Member of Parliament Jackson. Whether him win or lose, he has the courage to stand up
Of
for
his
something
convictions.
and to push for it.
And you know, that thing with the money and the fees in Belize, I want to bring that.
When we
to
come back, let's
yeah.
take the break.
In
We don't
Belize
want to
that
be
happened.
short on how you deal with it. Weakness. Yes. Welcome back to the Morning Connection. What time is it, Percival? 8:12 a.m. Yes, so we're in the middle zone. And right about now, I think most of our listeners are waking up.
They're waking up.
Yes.
So
So
the
we want to
realities
wake you
out
up some
there.
more on one or two of the main issues. But before we go, good morning, Mr. BPO man. It's wonderful that you dropped in to say hello to us. One of our listeners who is nearby
Came to say hello.
came to say hello. And you know what? Just so you know, sir, you look exactly as you sound. Conscientious,
Oh my Lord.
decent, principled, and we do appreciate that you passed by to say hi. We love it. So if you're in the New Kingston area on a Thursday morning and you want to see where we are and what we're doing,
And what
the
we look
Ligani
like.
Club is a very welcoming place.
You ask what we look like.
No,
I know that when I talk about my beautiful cause, you know I'm not kidding, right? So
you're speaking in the spirit.
I'm speaking in the spirit. All right,
Yes.
we'll leave it at that and I'll go no further.
All right, before the break, we were talking about the about face, for which we're grateful
Yeah.
because the statement by MP Warmington that they would use their government powers to force through, that's really what it would be, force through a change to the Portmore boundaries
To make it a parish.
to make it a parish where one party would have a distinct advantage was just not right. And MP Fitzjackson protested vocally. He mounted such a strong protest
That even at
that
some
as a
handed man-
member of the shadow cabinet, they have given him special responsibility for matters affecting Portmore. So,
But he's really passionate, you know, and I know him personally.
Yeah.
Why I know him personally? Because I know he's in the right place.
yeah,
His
he's a
heart
man of
isn't-
integrity.
His,
I
his
knew
heart
his,
isn't.
his brother was at the OUR for some years before he passed away, Courtney Jackson.
But he's a man,
And,
and he's a nationalist, if there's such a word, yeah.
He has integrity. That is what I believe of
Yeah,
him.
and he speaks about things that affect. And if somebody seen him in on occasions come to church service, somebody can talk to somebody, can rap it, somebody
Relatable.
can
Yeah.
bring the real issues to. And him live in that place, he live in that Portmore.
So
Yeah,
you see,
he-
and that explains why he
He
will
live in a-
do better and
he
fight
live in a
harder.
Portmore.
The people have access to him and can say, Mr. Jackson, what are you doing about so and so? Anyway, here's what the Prime Minister had to say, and which is why I think he really put the skids on what was clearly a well, mature, and established plan. They were pressing along with it.
It was in their manifesto, actually, last election.
But the timing of it is
Yeah.
what was being, the timing of it and the lack of full consultation is what has bedeviled people's mind. The Prime Minister, however, said the ECJ follows a standard process to evaluate constituency boundaries. So remember now, Fitzjackson was arguing that altering electoral boundaries without the input of the ECJ would be unconstitutional. Nobody got up to say yea or nay on government side. But when the about face is executed,
That is the reason.
the reason given is that ECJ follows a standard process to evaluate constituency boundaries. We know that. They look at constituencies and determine whether they fall below the minimum threshold. So there's a confirmation that must come from the ECJ.
And come from census too.
And then he denies that they were trying to gain political advantage, but says it is necessary for the proper administration of this rapidly developing municipality. But
300,000 people.
yeah, so what about Ocherias? Isn't it a rapidly developing? Or
It will become a parish too. If you follow the same logic.
if you use the same logic, any constituency or
area that is
area
rapid.
that is growing rapidly and have diverse needs would qualify.
And that is one of the reasons why we moved from 60 to 63 now. Because a lot of the new constituencies have come in the whole St. Catherine region because it grew. I think there is a
St.
30
Catherine and St.
it
Anne.
Yeah, 30,000 or something.
And I think they got a new one out of Clarendon.
Yeah,
is it?
yeah. Because of the amount of migration and people.
Population density.
And I'm saying to us now, you see, that is why I echo
Can you decommission a parish
that, I don't know.
when people drift from it?
I'm not so sure
I
about
say,
that.
listen, man, not enough people there, sir.
It's all on the Ghana town or
That
Ghana poor go,
downgrade.
go, go live, so we
Right.
downgrade you,
We
not a
downgrade
parish.
you.
No,
Not a
but it
parish
speaks
anymore.
to the necroplexy.
Narcolepsy. Where do you get some of these words?
Neck,
Narco. Sleep.
narcoplexy. Yeah, that
Narcosis.
Mr. Mitchell is talking about. So,
Oh, I see why you were saying it has to do with death. You're
yeah,
thinking necromancy.
yeah.
No, narcolepsy, different one.
Yeah.
The narcotic effect.
But I'm saying, last year them said 40 bills when the Governor General did his throne speech. Remember?
Yes.
How much we passed?
We know says a handful compared.
But yet, them push my friend, and you know her too, because we were on campus together, the parliamentary drafts person. Is it parliamentary drafts or
I don't know. It's who we
the
know.
drafts person,
Who
the
we know.
lawyer who drafts laws?
So which person is this? Shall I write a name?
We were on campus together.
I don't know which one that you're talking about. Is
Yes,
that name?
Yes.
Okay. So I knew her from St. Hilda's.
See that?
She's a senior girl to me at
Yes,
St.
man.
Hilda's.
So
Okay,
she-
but I didn't actually know her on campus. That's why I wrote the
She was
name.
there with us.
You keep saying us. I was in a different place.
Up midway from campus.
That's because I'm popular. Many people know me.
And she was on the same hall as us.
She was on Irving.
Yes.
You sure that I was there? Remember, I was only on Irving for 1 year, because
Yeah.
I went to Cave Hill.
But when you came on, she was
So
there.
it's when I came back.
No,
from
no.
Cave Hill.
When you were there as a
You guys were already there.
Yes. So you came
Right.
and saw
I'm
us.
just making it clear that they are senior to me, these old people that he's talking about. I'm kidding.
But she was there with us.
Okay, I didn't know she was on Irving.
Yeah, man.
She
Right.
was Students'
You were-
Council
you live at-
president
right, you
when
were-
I was a little one at St. Hilda's.
So by the time
is-
you landed, she was there. You were on block GRF.
You know what, Percy? Were you stalking me in those days?
I like-
Confession. I came in with the surname Palmer and I said, I wonder if I'm a relative.
Or
That
something like that. Right.
I was on block F.
Yes. So she was on block F
upstairs.
too.
Are you serious?
Yes, she was on block F too. Yeah.
Whoa.
So it's
Yeah.
but what I'm saying is, let's go back to the issue.
Mm-hmm.
He's saying that there are so many, but him said the parliament now work.
No,
Not
sir.
work for the people them, but
But this
but them pressure the drafts person to do a bill that not moving the needle in terms of people's lives. That are the problem you have, you know.
Yeah. And rightly so.
Yeah, but how can you do that? Which points back to the kind of leadership that we have. They are doing things that are not impacting and affecting the lives of ordinary Jamaicans. Because if I know if you go over to Portmore and ask them to do one poll, they must say, that I know we need you right now. They will say that. So when you look at our leaders, and it is across the board, you know, it is so very, I don't want to use that word, self-seeking. That is a better word in terms of what we push. And it is self-seeking because we push a bill through to change it because the international credit people have said, boy, if you don't do this, maybe I'm going to lock you down. Yeah, and it is unfortunate. It is so unfortunate. So we are beholden to so many people, but the things that will move the lives of ordinary Jamaicans, we're not doing it. We're not doing the issues that related to land and the proper usage of lands. We're not doing legislation that we say, okay, let us put in place laws that say you can't use good farmland to build a house. Because at some point in time, you don't want the people to starve. Because everything we eat is basically imported when you think about it.
There's a question online that has distracted me somewhat,
Yes.
though what you're saying is fascinating. Earl Brown is asking, is the argument about constituency or parish? Aren't they two different things? And I'm thinking of the best way to respond to it because it's a very relevant point. We speak about it, there are two things running concurrently. A parish is both it's based on both geography, meaning spatial configuration, as well as politics,
Correct.
because the parish has an administrative structure which is different from what you would have in a single constituency.
Correct.
So, my friend Earl, it's two different things, but they are so tightly connected that it's almost as if,
Constituents are in parishes.
yeah, and constituencies don't cross boundaries.
Don't cross
You
parish
won't have,
boundaries.
right, you don't have half of the constituency in one parish and the other half in another. So typically, if you are reshaping constituencies, but now you are being mindful of the parish consideration, you have to distribute the representation has to be distributed over the population that is in the parish.
In the parish. I- In the population that is in the parish. What is happening with the census? Let me ask a question.
And typically, as Percy just bring up back, you would have a fairly current census that would guide you in what the numbers are
And the
how
decisions you make.
yes, and that's not a political consideration. That is for the EOJ or ECJ to do the surveys, meaning both on the ground and in the terms of the numbers, and see what demographics look like, where people live, how many live there, and so on and so forth. So it's a yes and no kind of answer for that. That's what was in my mind. The arguments are about both, really, but they are
They're
they're very connected.
and interrelated to each other.
Yeah.
So when you just decide, say, oh, yeah, go do one parish, there's a law that they use in terms of the determination of parish boundaries. But then there's a law that speaks to the political representation.
Right,
And
for the people.
and
But it's
the-
just like in the
tonight, as we talk about elections, they said 50% of the developed countries, the big ones, are going to have a major election this year. The US, the UK, India, Germany, all of it. So, wow.
so there could be a massive change
And shift in
Yeah.
everything, what happens in the world politics.
across the world.
We're just making people know that. Is that interesting? And you gotta go laugh, you see.
But you know, I'm thinking that we should look a little bit more at this because even when we do constitutional reform, the architecture of our, the parish and the constituency systems, in terms of how people are represented, I'm just looking at it. There are some areas of Jamaica that are hard to traverse.
Yeah.
Anybody who is a councillor or MP for that area
Have
gonna
enough
be
work.
under pressure.
Have enough
Just
work.
getting from one household to the next, or being able to
Talking
meet
about
with people
Mount
in
Moriah?
clusters, or no, I
But
mean,
Moriah not so bad.
Mumbai not so bad. Easy terrain to navigate, and the homes are in clusters that you can get to from one place to another. It's not so bad anymore. But some places are difficult.
It's true.
The
it's true.
MPs have a challenge.
It's true. It's true.
In terms of both the infrastructure where people live and how you get around it.
But the good rural MPs, and I can think of people like the Buchanans and the Pearts.
Yeah. What qualify them as good MPs? Because
And they usually live in a constituency for one.
okay, that is all right, sir. I
People know
yield.
them.
I
And the
yield.
people that know them.
Yeah.
So when them come and speak, because them live, them know the issues, them grow up in it, and
But
and
for
they
the
could-
most part, why I say it is because for the most part, those constituencies have looked the same for generations.
And the people know the issues, and I've noticed
But
the
it don't. But
movement
it don't look like political representation brings the needed change
to the
to the
constituent.
constituency. They still don't have running water. You don't have electricity
And
supply
again,
everywhere. Telecommunications
yeah.
sparse.
And again, one of the things, even in terms of the whole issue of water, yeah, Black River, which is a good source of water.
Yeah. So you have abundant
It's
water supply.
down there, so but in order to move it from there to where it is needed,
Yep.
you have to have the pumps, and they need to tell the people them that. You need to say, guys.
No, I think they know that.
But they're not
because-
telling people
because
them,
they've
and the-
done 1 or 2 water projects there, and even just if you read what they put up, because they have some long storytelling on the boards, where they have these facilities. What the people are left to conclude is that we're not worth it. We're not worth it.
Yeah.
We're not worth the investment and the effort to bring some of these things to our communities.
And the politicians will tell you, and
Provision is not made for
and
it.
the technocrats will tell you to. Technocrats will
We
tell
tell
you.
say you're not worth it. Only 10 hours up there.
So, the technocrats will say, but on the basis, that's why we fix these roads all of the time,
Yeah.
and we now fix a road there because
Only 10 of you using it.
so
You can't walk.
You can't walk, eh? And those are
So
being honest.
there's no equity
to-
in the distribution of those resources.
And you talk to them one way. Let me tell you that, because when I fix this road here, so 10,000 car drive there, so when I fix that road down there, so 500 car drive in I see him here.
Do the math.
Do the math.
Yeah.
Yeah, so it is, but
Some of those arguments are seductive. You can't really get away from them. Conrad has sent you a message, Percy. He says, I hope when the march is called, we see all the keyboard ninjas come out to talk in real life going forward. No fakes.
I'm calling me
Keyboard. The people who are there writing on social media and sending out their bullets and their missiles.
Okay. Oh,
I love that expression, keyboard,
keyboard
ninjas.
ninjas. Some people can't fight, but when time comes to go a road, they can't do nothing at all.
Oh my goodness. Hey, but the keyboard ninjas can wake up some real life ninjas though.
Think a joke.
Yeah, they activate some people who come out and do amazing things.
Yeah, but
Yeah, Earl, you got me. I want to look at that issue a little more closely and see. I'll talk to Fitz Jackson and
I
see what the real objections might be and what result he desires to see beyond, just saying that the JLP is being actuated by malice and special
man.
gain.
Bad
Okay,
man.
8:30. Let's take the break. When we come back, maybe I'll call Fitz in the break.
I have his number, I think.
Voiceless 100 FM is the authentic voice of Jamaica, promoting your prosperity with better vibes and better music. Let us promote your goods and services for you. Advertise with us. For more information, call our office at 876-276-8935. That's 276-8935.
This is your beloved Pastor Percy from the Morning Connection. Support our commitment to Jamaica by joining us on Wednesday mornings at 7:30 when we pray for the nation. Show us you care. Advertise with us. For more information, call our offices at 876-276-8935.
Good morning and welcome back. 8:36 a.m. You know, my co-host said he was gonna try call Fitz in the break. Went into social media. You're one of the ones the Prime Minister talk about. Completely distracted. The break has ended and he has made no move. If I had done it, I'm just gonna see if I can raise him on WhatsApp while we are here. Let's try that. Yes. So I'm curious and want to know whether or not these issues concerning constituency and boundary, I'd love to know what MP Jackson wants to see as the proper result. Or maybe it's a process, because he has mentioned that there are some process issues that are being overlooked in the government's mad rush to create a political advantage by messing with the boundaries. I recently saw on the news, coming out of our neighbors to the north, some provincial politician in a dispute with the leadership of his area because they had redrawn the boundary lines. Apparently his house is on the boundary.
Oh, jeez.
They drew the boundary lines and carefully skirted around his house and cut him out of the constituency.
Same couldn't vote. Him
So
never
that
have a
no,
vote.
he's an appointed representative, but because he no longer lives in the area, he's disqualified.
So then could I do that? And then,
Well, I think he was taking it up with them, but I said If you live on the boundary and a man can change the line and just make a circle around your house.
So we can circle around him house.
Yeah, so the line, I mean, it was just hilarious.
But
Yeah, they
it sounds
excluded him
funny. It's
so
so
that
funny. So
he
he
could
can't
no, he
he
was
can't
no longer eligible to sit as a commissioner of the area. But it's not as if he had moved. It is that his house was no longer. I think you have to like own a home or live in the area, whatever it was. I'm gonna follow it up to
So
see
they did that
what
for
happened.
you?
Oh yes.
So they
that was
never-
his complaint. They draw the line and exclude his house so the line have a wobble in it. But that's not new. That is what the Americans call gerrymandering.
Oh, brother.
They excluded
So there's
them.
nothing new under the sun then.
Oh, Percy. Oh, how many times are even or saying that is not new. The acknowledgement that there's nothing new. So I see some of the bad habits from the north creeping towards
They take
Jamaica.
it out of the playbook.
Yes, we must
It's a
resist
playbook.
it.
It's a
As you
playbook
were
that they
saying
were-
on Monday, resist the devil, he will flee. If you resist it,
Resist
it will.
evil.
Because see, Jackson mounted stout resistance, and the prime minister has had to temper his approach. We don't have a prime minister who withdraw, and that is a good thing when he is going into a fight on our behalf. But it's a bad thing when he's doing
not listening to the
something
people.
that is dismissive of what the people are saying.
But they have a mental health condition.
Usually, I know you could diagnose him if you got him for 5 minutes.
You know what it is? I won't say, but anyway.
Megalomania,
No.
narcissism.
Me
Those
no
are-
call him, me no call
Oh,
him.
those are two words that come to mind, but
All right. But,
as
but
possible
as we're
diagnosis.
thinking about Fitz, he has continued his fight in terms of the fees, the bank fees. He has not given up. But I was listening to the news, the Caribbean news, like last week, where the central banker says we're putting a cap on the fees that you can charge. And then one of the bank them taking them to court to say you can't do that, you mash up your business.
Where is that? In Belize?
In Belize.
Ah, all right. So we watch that with interest.
So it said you can't do no man, you have no right to do that. But
By
I
the way,
wish.
another thing to watch with interest. Let me finish with the Prime Minister.
Yeah.
The Prime Minister highlighted Negril in Westmoreland as one such
Another
town
parish.
that has reached the threshold for consideration because they have at the level of development that has gone on in Negril,
Make it a parish.
it has reached the threshold. So that's
Become
the
a
next
parish.
one.
Become a parish.
To have its own administrative infrastructure.
That means
now go
in
put it
terms
higher
of-
than that.
In terms of a municipal council, like you will elect your mayor directly instead of the sub mayor.
Yes.
But
yeah.
that can make sense because remember that's what happened with Portmore. Yeah. So yeah, interesting.
So you know, he's making a valid point that there are technical considerations that apply. There's a body that is supposed to do the measurement, which is only what Mr. Jackson was saying. When that body does the measurement and make the recommendations, we move. Because, Vatican City is the world's smallest state. So you can be really tiny, but pack a huge punch.
This is the richest country in the world.
Yeah.
I would like it or not.
They're tiny, but they pack a huge punch.
Which come out
Therefore,
of
they're
previous state.
recognized as a single nation, even though they sit in the middle of Italy,
Yeah.
and you got to drive through Italy
No, that thing
to go to Vatican City. And Vatican City is basically the Pope's residence, but it's recognized. So the Prime Minister has made some comments there.
I as we continue to bring to closure Mr. Mark Hunter, that's his name.
Mark Barnett.
Mark Barnett.
How Hunter come into it? Thinking
know.
about Biden, Hunter Biden.
And what's happening with him now. I am just thinking, I heard the DPP speaking about it again and saying, the permanent secretaries need to need to be the persons who monitor these things. And I'm saying, really? How is a permanent secretary going to monitor what NEPA, what the officer who goes out to actually inspect what is happening? How are they going to have an impact?
So hold
Or
on. What does she mean by monitor these things?
yeah, I mean, I know.
What falls into the category of these things? If it comes out of the
Fraud on the
situation with
road.
Mr. Barnett,
Yeah. How she can?
how would the permanent secretary monitor the investment activities of an official in government? I mean, this is a private activity that.
Yeah, but she was saying in all right, NEPA.
Yes.
I was trying to understand what she was saying. It was a news clip that I
Yes.
heard saying that the permanent secretary must make sure that these things don't happen again. And I'm going, really? Doesn't NEPA have a chief executive officer who is because it's a statutory organization that's independent? And how does the permanent secretary, local government and land thing monitor what happens in every parish council when a man go up to okay, those are the building things. This is what you have gotten approval for, but you have this. How does the permanent secretary get down to those granular details? I'm trying to understand what you were
What she
saying.
means
Yeah,
by that.
how does the permanent secretary get in that
Yeah.
mix?
But let's put it this way then. If she, as the
DPP.
one who carries that remit to prosecute people for criminal misbehavior,
Yes.
if she feels that the liability imposed by law on permanent secretary to be the accounting officer for a ministry, if she feels that that liability has a criminal component to it, then it would be her job to sensitize the government through whatever means is necessary that the way certain things are done in law have this implication for the permanent secretary, so the training can be done, so the procedures can be understood, and so that government can structure its affairs to ensure integrity. Maybe it's something she could organize in concert with the Integrity Commission, since what you're trying to do is avoid the commission of certain types of offenses. And you know what's going to happen? If you read the document I gave you the other day, you would see where the judge says for certain offenses to be proved in court, you, the one prosecuting, must show that the person had the requisite mens rea is the Latin phrase, but it just means an intent, the guilty intent. You know that this is against the law and you're pressing on with a determination to break the law. It don't happen accidentally. It don't happen through carelessness. You must have the guilty intent. When two people sit and say, see that bank over there? We're going to steal some money from it. They know it's stealing. And what they're doing is planning to do it. That allows you to charge them and say they set about and committed an offense. May you walking along and stumble over a bag with some money in it and pick it up and said, thank you, Jesus. And it turns out to have been stolen from a bank. They couldn't come and say we broke the bank. Even if we pick it up at the bank door and we say, what a blessing. They couldn't come and charge you for stealing from the bank.
But what do they charge you for? Nothing.
They might charge you for receiving stolen property. And you say from whom?
Because I asked
from the
question.
divine.
Yeah, I asked that question. You raise a point, and so it's like if when somebody like there's a case, intend to commit murder. That's what you mean by
yes. You have to intend it. You can't.
So
it can happen accidentally, or you're caught up in some situation and it run in that direction.
Okay,
And
and
you might
better
not even
understand.
known that
Yeah,
there was
yeah,
a
but
law
not-
against it. You were not plotting. There are some offenses in law which are strict liability offenses, and mostly you find them in traffic situations.
Correct.
Like that unbroken white line, if
Yeah.
you cross it, you have committed an offense. Did you know you crossed it? Did your car drift? It don't matter.
You know that happened to me already, right?
It happened to every driver.
Yeah, I say.
It's just a matter of whether you get caught.
And then you ask the question, where? But you can be.
You can be sometimes the line all gone.
That happened to me. A policeman stopped me, in Maypen before I
Yeah.
took the bypass, and you go in the lane to turn left, or you continue straight. There's no traffic there, so I'm driving, and I policeman
Position yourself.
policeman say you should have turned right. I said, but I not see no marking parliament. He said, look. So I look at the seat. You know.
That policeman wicked.
But that no, what I'm saying. But officer, him still give me a ticket. I said, me.
You just paid it. This one you didn't bother to run him down
No,
in
man,
court.
no, because
Yeah.
it don't. So when the in your case,
Yes.
and what the ruling by the judge was, she said, but there's nothing saying that the people them intention
Even connected
it-
to what
that
was
is
going
going
on,
on.
and you knew they were not connected. So, what evidence were you going to show that they intended to commit a breach of this law?
Why people, you know,
So-
it goes back to I
you-
always say
so
motivation
back
and
to the
intent.
DPP. So, if she's going to say that a permanent secretary is responsible for monitoring these things,
Yes.
and by logical argument, it would mean if something slipped and she never catch it, he or she never catch it, she's liable because she's the accounting officer. You then would have to make sure that you have systems in place
To fix it, to catch it.
Absolutely.
So that means then, so the permanent secretary, remember the permanent secretary have responsibilities for
the whole portfolio.
the whole
of
portfolio.
of
So
it, yeah.
like with the super
those super ministries that have 70 agencies
is in it. So that poor permanent secretary
need 3 or 4
work
deputies.
to you have deputy permanent secretary?
No.
You want to have the CEO.
But I would have to ask for deputies. I mean, how on earth could
Yeah.
one individual be personally liable for so many things?
Because
It's
NEPA
not humanly
comes under the
possible.
office of the Prime Minister and Minister of Economic Growth. So
Yeah.
the new cabinet officer, cabinet secretary, who is
Yeah.
now was a permanent secretary in that ministry. I will be working. You know.
It's a lot of work if you're to do it properly. And
And-
certainly if you're to if you're to accept what the DPP says concerning your responsibility.
So that,
But I suspect she made that up.
I mean, she make it up. She does attack.
Yeah, because a lot of what she does is opinion work. Think about it.
Or
A lot of what she does is based on her opinion. Her opinion should be based on law, but some of it would be based on her feelings and her sense of justice,
I'm just hoping.
her idea about governance and so on.
I just hope that the DPP in this new stretch is not a Hezekiah. I leave it at that.
Oh, you mean this same DPP?
Yeah, don't become a Hezekiah.
You'd have to explain the Hezekiah
I leave it
syndrome.
there. She go read it.
Oh, you think she's listening?
Yeah, man. I read it, and the people
This
close
is-
to her.
Yes.
She become a Hezekiah that she really, yeah. Because even that, when that court case is going to happen anyway.
Which
where
one?
The one where the opposition has gone to the Supreme Court to make a ruling. It has come back, yeah?
No, because the case they reserved their judgment from November, and here we are in January.
So we can't
We'll
get
soon
that.
reach our birthday,
So we can get a...
and they haven't pronounced. They haven't given their ruling as yet.
So, oh boy.
And this is something too, which when you're looking at when you're looking at the performance of the judiciary, the time they take to produce their judgment in critical matters, and it's not a mark of your independence that you're not responding to the urgency of a situation, because things which are urgent for citizens who go to the court, provisions are made for expedited trial and for judgment to be given quickly.
Right.
If I had a huge commercial matter, especially like in maritime matters, when the ship is in the dock waiting to be released and
You
it's
can't
carrying
wait.
cargo,
You can't
a
wait.
judge can't say, I'm taking 1 year before I give my judgment. I'm independent. No one can tell me to speed it up or otherwise.
So they
So
understand
it's a
that
common
and
principle that the courts move at a pace that allows commerce and decision making to flow. So you know that a case has come before you, which says that the DPP, the one who is signing all of the orders to charge people and to prosecute people, you know that
It's the
her
office, it's the office,
her
not the-
office is in question.
Right.
The holder of the office is in question. You know that it has the likelihood to destabilize everything, every decision that she has taken while under constitutional challenge. If the court were to rule that she did not belong in that job, it's going to affect a lot of things. Why wouldn't you be quick with your judgment? That it adjourned from November and we have gone through December and we're halfway through January. And them never sit up during the holidays or even earlier to say, we need to put out a decision on this matter for good order and to maintain, even no matter what decision you take, it's better than no decision.
Yeah.
Yeah. So
it's kind of, there are so many things out there that people in their personal capacity can expedite and shift and make it look like, oh, there's the appearance of justice and the things that are of major concern to people are dealt with. But we just have
you see, if
inertia.
yeah, but you see, if there were if some of those positions involved the input of the people, they would all be more sensitive to the voice of the people. All of them would be more sensitive to the voice of the people, because there would come a day when they want to keep their job. As it is, the only ones they would respond to, the ones who can promote them, increase their pay, and see to their tenure. And any move to increase the payment of judges right now, when so many things, so many challenges against government are being discussed and are being made, it's going to look really, listen, man, the judges
It has happened
are
automatically. It has happened already.
yeah, but they're placing their credibility on the line when somebody can say, well, you know, you get pro-government decisions from a judiciary that is grateful for the additional pay and perks that get thrown their way. And you don't want that. You don't want that to be your story.
So how do you avoid that then? So that means you're saying would be an incentive to work.
Work and produce at a rate that is consistent. If you're not happy with the pay, leave the job.
Enough money, Judge, they get paid.
And they're still not happy with the pay.
Are you talking? Because if the person who is at grade 15 or 16 gets $20 million a year, the judges get more than that. They're not great. Oh. They're not depend on none of them scales. Eh?
To be honest, I don't follow
payment
their salary situation. They do get a fair amount of perks, but they live a life of near isolation.
Is that good?
Is it good?
No, I'm saying.
No, because we're social beings. But in a small society, if last night you and the judge a party at this place and tomorrow morning
you come see me.
Yeah, whether it is that you're a lawyer or you're a party appearing before him or her, it gets strange. So their society is very closed. So I think it's challenging for them, and they should be compensated for the loss of community that they have to endure when they take those jobs. You are looking at this minor headline. The Finance Ministry is urged to recover a $5 million overpayment to the former FSC executive director, the one who exited the stage after the SSL thing fallout, right? Auditor General Pamela Monroe Ellis wants the Ministry of Finance to recover overpayment of nearly $5 million in statutory obligations that the FSC disbursed to a former executive director as ex gratia payment.
But who is that? Does that person have a name?
I guess it would be easy to. It is the former executive director who stepped down in January last year.
The guy who stepped down with the breaking of the SSL.
Mm-hmm. They don't put his name, but they've painted a sign to his door. You just have to pull up his name.
So she's saying that they shouldn't have made a payment.
Yes. Yeah. There was no evidence that the board had approved one of the payments.
Jesus have mercy.
4.7 million ex gratia payment was not made.
After a year? So, no. But that is a decision that was made as it was an expedient for them to do it because the guy that was there, remember when
They were trying
SSL
to
broke?
get rid of him.
Yeah, because them figure him was becoming an embarrassment to them. But it still has not shifted, because even to date, and what has unfolded over the SSL saga, I call it. The court, you cannot appoint a executive. What do you call it in financial? The person who to recover and make sure. They wanted to do it, and the court and the minister say you can't do it, and then eventually the court says no, you have the right to do that. Remember that? Okay. You now invite external people to come and help to investigate what went down in terms of the payment. It has emerged that, hold on, it's not only Bolt, but it was 29 hour, 300 persons. And wasn't only Bolt alone, it is in excess. How much million US them reach now? About 35 million US dollars in terms of what has happened. We're not getting anything. 300 people, only 20 odd people willing to come forward to give evidence. And coupled with that, just before everything went south, our beloved Prime Minister, who had accounts
An
here,
account or
closed his accounts, and a lot of people did that. So
just before the axe fell. I
Yeah.
want to correct something before we take the break because we're right upon it now. I was speaking of the ex gratia payment that Monroe Ellis tagged as needing to be recovered. The Gleaner understands that the payment referenced in the Auditor General's annual report was not made to the former executive director who stepped down in January last year. I thought it was an error, but then I realized maybe it was not made to him. It's true. It's made to somebody else. But I just want to be accurate on it because accuracy is important. I don't know to whom it was made, whether this not is
in
meant to
addition,
be.
former
Yeah.
period.
All right. 9 o'clock. Take a break and return. Good morning and welcome back. So, in this final hour of the program, 9:06 a.m., we're just reminding you you're listening to the Morning Connection on Best 100 FM. Percival and I are enjoying Free Flowing Thursday. On Thursdays, we are hosted at the Ligani Club, where we have the opportunity to enjoy the wonderful outdoor garden environment and be taken care of by the very hospitable, well trained staff of JD's Urban Pub, the restaurant that is within the club property. You are free to drop by, of course, because the restaurant is open to the public. Although Ligani Club itself is a private members club, and you need to have a membership in order to enjoy the wonderful facilities. Whenever you are here, it's an opportunity to discover a little bit about what the club offers. 6 squash courts, 8 tennis courts, full size swimming pool, a very well equipped gymnasium, walking trails, outdoor garden scenes, some hotel rooms that are very well appointed, very well appointed, and the restaurant, wonderful restaurant that serves excellent Jamaican food. In the night's dinner here, it's a bit of a kind of fusion cuisine, a little bit of Italian, French, and strong Jamaican influences. You can always get curried goat, oxtail.
Oh, you can?
Yes, and there's something else, I think, like a fricassee chicken. There are some staples that you can always get, along with your pastas and your steak and fish and so on and so forth. And keep your eyes tuned to see what is being offered on Valentine's Day.
Oh, and that's going to be
They
interesting.
always do something special on those occasions. So, all right, that's it. I've done my duty by the club, which I'm happy to do, and the restaurant. Both Percival and I have raised up Mr. Jackson on MP Fitzjackson on WhatsApp. We're going to see if we can have a quick chat with him before we go. It's very spontaneous because this is Free Flowing Thursday. If we can't, we'll schedule something quite proper in the course of the week because I think it's an interesting development in local politics and representational politics. And it's good for you to understand how constituencies are formed, how parishes are formed, what are the considerations. In fact, if you're really thinking this thing through, where you decide to buy your house or where you decide to send your child to school and so on, are these the understanding how the constituencies come together and how representation flows might be of relevance to you. Yeah, and especially those who recognize that food security is a huge thing, both as an economic opportunity and as an issue of survival. If you want to go into farming, if you want to go into agro-processing, where in Jamaica, which constituency might be the best place for you to locate your business? You may want to be in the care of an MP or a councillor who has certain abilities, attributes, and track record. I'm just saying, if I were moving from where I live today, in where I live, really, I don't feel any political. There's nothing I can say, thank God for the MP or the councillor or where I live. And that's a shame because we should be able to feel the representation that we get from our local government representatives or even
And
the
that is in the
member of
spotlight now.
parliament.
And that's in the spotlight now.
Yeah, so I think it's a good time to have a serious, informative conversation with someone who's on the front line fighting to see that constituencies maintain a certain integrity and that people can be ably represented. No hanky-panky with constituency boundaries, no attempt to gain political advantage by setting it just so. So all of the people who are grateful to you are on one side of the divide. This is a topical issue. And
And we want to just
yeah, we
highlight
can
the
catch.
work.
What's Fitz saying to you on WhatsApp?
He is saying, just saw the message that I
Okay,
sent.
so you have established who you are and why you're writing to him.
Right. So we'll see if we can get him. Probably
I
not
got a
today.
hello there. But
Yeah.
the last time I communicated with him on this number was some long time ago.
But we'll see what happens.
Yeah.
But, if
Anyway.
we can get him to come, yeah.
Oh, but they're talking about next week.
Yeah, but
By that time, they're deep in campaign, maybe.
but
Oh,
they're
no.
deep in
No, not
campaigning
next
already,
week.
you know. But the date needs to be called. I
Not
think it
next
probably
week.
be called on the
Yeah.
weekend because if we're gonna get it in February, it has to be called within the next 5 days.
For you to catch. Yeah, but 21 days, they can carry to the end of February.
With all that.
What's the date in February? They have up to the end of February
Yeah, I
to
think
do
so.
it?
Yeah.
Okay.
So
So,
it really works that way. So
yeah, there's a point at which it can no longer be 21 days. So you have to.
sure.
The mystery is just boiling down. You can't keep it such a mystery
It's not a
for much
mystery
longer.
anymore because I saw something on WhatsApp where
Yeah.
somebody was saying that they like the word a fly on the wall when the Prime Minister, the General Secretary, Minister of Local Government, and somebody else met. And the polls indicated that it would be 9-1-5 in terms of the municipal councils, how they went. 9 in favor of the PMP, 1 they're
One
not sure,
independent.
and 5 is going the other way. So
Yeah.
we don't know what happened.
Oh,
But
that's what the poll
the
has
internal
revealed.
polls they're saying.
Okay, Percy, you're well connected, man.
Not connected.
I've heard no such thing.
You've heard no such thing.
No, sir. I
But
don't.
like Elisha.
Sitting there, you can hear what's going on in the king's bedroom.
So,
Yeah.
but all right. So we have touched on the DPP's response to saying it's now the responsibility of the permanent sector to ensure that with NEPA and local government and things are set right. But my question is, how the policing of that would happen? Because if the laws are very clear and the people on the ground decide to do a different interpretation, which is what happens a lot of the times, or there's fraud in terms of the reporting. Because I can go out, I'm a building officer. I go out on the road and the man say, well, I have the document in front of me which says that I must have 10 one-bedroom, 2 two-bedroom, and I'm going looking and I say, but hold on. I am seeing 5 3-bedrooms, 10 two-bedrooms on the same plot of land. And the man said, no, man, we take care of you. We take care of you, boss. Don't worry yourself. You just report that what is on the permit is okay, which is what happened. How can the permanent secretary, in all fairness to him or her, prevent that from happening?
Well, it's not how it can be done because we know how it can be done. You have to, given who she is, the speaker,
Yeah.
you have to wonder what's the objective. Because remember what has happened. It is alleged that a man committed an offense. By the time the offense was being seriously considered, no step could be taken within the law against the individual. So a DPP who expresses that opinion that, yes, I see an offense was committed, I believe that there's enough to say an offense was committed, but at this time, there's nothing we can do. Because it involves a prosecution and because it involves her giving an opinion on how they should proceed.
That's how
and
they do
she
it. She's
gave
always the
one.
person who gives opinions, or she can actually prosecute.
In this instance, she's saying it was not for me to prosecute. That is a special crime created by a law which places the responsibility on a specific entity.
Okay.
This is me paraphrasing as best I can. So she's saying the proper party to do something about it had a limited time in which to do it, and they didn't do it.
No, she can't prosecute.
So no, she can't change the law. She can only, the remit to prosecute is not with her.
It's with NEPA and.
Yes, the law placed it somewhere.
Okay, all right.
The law placed it somewhere.
So her ruling was that they should be prosecuted, but it's not me to do it, it's them.
Somebody
and the
who
time
should do it
passed.
and the time passed.
Okay.
Okay, so now we are confronting a situation where the organization that should do it didn't do it. It seems there's conflict between who think it was a breach and who didn't. And someone may put something to her, a question to her, that she now has to say, well, if each side is caught failing, who is it that should be holding the balance between? And she says, well, the permanent secretary, because they're all in a ministry and all the agencies report
to it.
into the minister's office, and the permanent secretary is his chief accounting
Accounting.
officer.
But that's not an accounting
Technically
issue.
she's right, but because she is a prosecutor, what kind of liability is she imposing on the permanent secretary? Is it the ordinary, as you say, the kind of accounting that the permanent secretary does is not for criminality? It's to ensure that
Systems
the
and
procedures
procedures.
and systems are being observed.
Correct.
Right. So what responsibility is she saying would fall on the permanent secretary? You're assessing it against the background that the permanent secretary would have to go and assure him or herself that no crimes are being committed. That's impossible. Especially when you start to,
But
especially when you are looking at crimes that may involve deception and fraud. How is a permanent secretary? That should spend all her time
I'm just a follow that.
in a one of those spy outfits. I'm
Or-
saying he or she
Yeah,
would
yours.
spend their time in a hat pulled low, a fedora, and a cloak, slipping through the mist, trying to see
Or
who's doing
posing
what
as a customer.
or doing. Yeah,
Like he do that, you see that all the time
you,
on
yeah,
on
you wouldn't
reality
you wouldn't
television.
have time to actually do work. So,
It goes back to personal integrity and honesty.
but now you're talking about the actors,
Yeah.
the people in NEPA and NRCA and in
And the parish councils, the building officers.
No, each person who have them responsibility is responsible for
Adhering to the law.
their performance and maintaining the law. The permanent secretary could only catch something after the fact, after it has happened. She can't be doing preventative monitoring or supervision because that's a hands-on, which is, I guess, the point you're making. That's a hands-on day-to-day, somebody who's supposed to be doing that. Even the ones with the technical skills to do it, not getting it done. Because just imagine, let's say you have 40 developments happening in your area, and you're
And by the way, it's not happening now. No.
yes, I just picked 40. I wanted 10 more than the number of days in the month
Okay.
on average. So you have 40 developments, and they are big developments and they take time. If you spend one day on each,
It's still not gonna get it
some
done.
not gonna meet the monthly report. If you try to say I'm gonna do, I'm gonna do 3 per day, some gonna be rushed.
You're not going to do it
And you
properly.
don't have, if you look across the board, they don't have a number of technical people going out to cover the ground. It's not like, they have 40 or 30 people. Sometimes it's 1 or 2 officers with thin staff. So you could never pile up on that individual the obligation to prevent wrongdoing.
And then it's all right. So for instance, all the reports came in on time. You never had 40 or 20 the reports. By the time you do it and now you have 40 departments or statutory that you have to look at. How she gonna do that?
Yeah.
How he or she going to do that? So is that
So that was just talk.
yeah,
When she said that.
because I'm saying you would have hope that with the realities, the actual realities, that people speak sensibly to the real issues. A lot of the times people are talking hypothetically and then there's no basis in real underground. I'm saying, no, that don't make no sense. And it is something, is a malady I'm finding in terms of a lot of people who are putting solutions out there, but they don't know what the real realities on the ground are.
Or they don't care.
Well, it could be that too.
Yeah, they don't care. They speak without caring.
I'm just being nice. I'm just being nice. It is my nature to be nice, to think of the of the,
What did you say? They don't know.
They don't know. They don't know.
All right. So you think it's and it's nicer to regard the person as incompetent and ignorant than uncaring. And I know, I think some people would prefer to be regarded as uncaring, but to be left with their competence intact.
Oh boy. So, it's kind of it's kind of unfortunate in regards to
I
that.
think they don't care.
You think they don't care? They don't
They don't
business.
care. You figure it out.
You know.
And there's a level at which, you can't care. You have to let them figure it out. You have to say, figure out how you're going to get it done and tell me what you need. There's a point at which you have to take that approach. If not, some things you'd never even attempt because you would say, oh God, they don't have no money. No. If you begin to be too empathetic, you may never move forward because you just be stuck with the reality that this is an impossible task for this person. But you leave that person with the challenge to figure it out. Like a lot of women in Jamaica have had to just figure things out. 6 children, no money, and need to be fed. Figure it out.
So that is where the caring come back in, because if you see that, there's a lot you can do as an individual to help. And this is where the kingdom begins to work. That's a reality. You could say, all right, you're on your own. But I have found in my experience, if somebody comes to you with a need and you say, well, the Lord bless you, brother. Go and fix it. And you're in a position to help.
Yeah.
So the whole attitude of caring. And I think a lot of us have become uncaring in the society because we really just business about ourselves.
Well, I mean, I've got a lot of oral sympathy from people.
Yeah, but them not do anything.
I say, boy, I hear what happened, it must be tough. You don't deserve it. Or feel sorry for you. And they go along their merry way. So we do have an established culture of expressing care and concern, but really doing nothing about it.
So do you think then, I'm kind of shifting it,
Yes, shift away.
is it possible that those of us who are of conscience, those of us who are thinking about Jamaica, would move from an attitude of not caring, or the other one, the word the word, the scripture speaks about lukewarm, meaning the hot or cold. Like some people have become lukewarm and cold, or
Indifferent.
indifferent. If we move from indifference to becoming passionate about what it is, needs to happen, is that the tsunami, the change that we're talking about, that is needed in this country. Even as we move towards the local government elections, that people move from being indifferent and saying, well, it don't really matter to me, to say no, but it matters to me. I'm going to do something about it. Because I'm just thinking about a lot of people and corruption. Now they are finding out that it really impacting them bottom, them pocket.
All right.
Why you laughing at
First you
me?
should know why I'm laughing.
Why you laugh at?
A certain man who is fasting
Yeah.
just reported mournfully there's ackee and saltfish and fried dumpling for breakfast. And the aroma is filling up this space. Oh, my God, I feel his pain.
Oh boy.
I feel his pain. And now he has made it my
Become
pain.
very passionate about it now. Very
No,
passionate about
yeah.
it.
You are right. And you started at the right place. Scripture says, you're neither hot nor cold, I spit you out. Because it's better if you didn't even cold.
Yeah, 'cause I would
At
have known.
least we know what you are.
Right.
But that man who, and there are other scripture too that move in the same vein to tell you that a double-minded person
Is
is unstable in all his ways.
and what he does.
You can't trust him with nothing because you leave him and he's one way today, and by the time you
You go back, him
go
shift
to
again by
collect,
you.
he has shifted on you. And that's no way to build a nation. And we see it too when you have one government that do something and the next one come in and undo it. You don't grow. There's no mystery to Jamaica's narcoleptic growth. Some of the things that they call growth, I'm wondering, surely that is within the margin of error.
Really, no.
When you're counting 1%, quarter percentile,
Yeah, you say, and you're
that's if
bragging
you're,
about growth.
yeah, if I said I lost weight and or I lost an inch around my waist, but if I just fill up my lungs, I gain twice the amount. It's neither here nor there. So being definite in a position, being passionate about what you believe in and pursuing it with diligence, especially when it comes to nation building, it requires passion. That's why those extreme philosophies always rise to attention, whether you're too far left or you're too far right. People will notice you because you cause a stir, and things will change around what you're doing. If you're not, if majority of people don't care for you, they'll reject you, and you'll know what it is to be spat out, vomited out, whatever. You'll be rejected. And if what you're doing is good, people will draw to you because you've attracted their interest. But you who neither here nor there, you're indifferent. Phew. And you could say then that the ones who didn't vote because they couldn't choose or they chose not to choose, their indifference sounded the death knell for the rest of us.
Okay, so
Because they leave you at the mercy of the handful who are passionate.
right. So
So better you join the passionate and shift it in the place that you want
become a
it
diehard.
than
No.
you stay away.
Oh boy.
In this case, passion just means you get up and do something.
About it instead
It's
of
not even no
complaining.
great passion. Just means you get up and you do something about it.
So what we are saying to persons, and I guess next week we'll do some more work in terms of what you must look for in terms of your local. I heard a man say, local government representatives, when them come and check in, asking them what is their vision for you, what is happening with you, what do you think? What's the vision as a local government? What do you think we can do? Is there much we can accomplish, manage when we vote for you in terms of shifting the needle on our concerns about low road and water, and because those things are local issues. The parochial roads, parochial water system.
So to the would-be politician who is listening, if you're a candidate for councillor or you're going back to be voted in again, and a citizen were to ask you, what's your vision? Your vision must include what your party or what the master plan is for the nation or for the parish where the constituency lies. And I say this because at your level, you know the principle of submission and authority.
Correct.
Each person who is in a stable organization has a place and they have someone from whom they take instructions and to whom they give reports. So you, as a councillor, can be out there with a unique vision shared by no one in your party structure, and it's just your vision. You must show where what you want to do fits in an ongoing plan that people can see. So
They have to do a lot of political
so you got to
work.
learn it. You have to know what is my party's plan and where do I fit in and what do I say to a constituency concerning provisions for them in the plan. So that's the homework. We take the break. It's 9:30. 9:30. Good morning and welcome back. 9:36 a.m. We're in the final stretch. How did you want to close this morning, Pastor
I want
Percival?
us, it is a call to action, which is the burden I'm hearing for all of us as Jamaicans. A call to action. As a person who's a pastor and deal with issues, when I'm hearing a lot of people saying it has never been so good on the ground for me when we have had to increase our benevolence budget, which is we deal with persons in our church community, but we also cater to people in the community. And the numbers have gone up. The numbers have increased in terms of what we have had to set aside to deal with it and the amount of people who come.
Who come?
So even as I left you yesterday and I went to my office, this young man just walk up and say, "Boy, I have 2 daughters and just come from school. I have nothing in my yard. You have anything you can give me, Pastor?" And I was moved because here's a young man in his 20s, don't look more than that, has skill. He can tile, he can do masonry. He's all the way from countries, Montego Bay come this side, but he's living close to our church community. And I had to go back inside. When they tell me, they know say never tell me no lie. Because you can know when they tell you lie, And
Oh,
you can pick up. You pick up things in the spirit, and if it is a genuine case or not. I had to go back in and help him. And so it's real. The need is real out there. So my thing is, Jesus said, and James said, your brother come to you and say, "Boy, you have a need." Don't tell him, say,
You'll pray for
you
him.
pray for him.
And he
If
must
it
go and
yeah,
keep warm.
Yeah, keep on. You can't, that's not a help him story. But if you can help, you must help. And that is something I have learned from my mother. God bless her. And something I practice. Some of the time it's rough, but it is, you deal with the person immediacy and need. Thinking about yourself, what you're doing, and you temper it with wisdom. So, and that is a real thing. So we now, as Jamaicans, have to, on the level, on the ground level, be doing that in terms of our neighbors. Be a person that you're thinking about your neighbor in everything that you do. Don't think about yourself, because there is a level of selfishness that you see on the roads in terms of how people drive. I was telling you, I was going to a place and it's 3 lane of traffic, and you see a 4th lane, and you're frightened because you are thinking of probably trying to stop, and you have to hold yourself because someone else pass you. You see it on Mandela all the time. And the police have become wise to it that now they're at strategic points with the minibuses and everybody. It's not only minibuses anymore. It's everybody. Can't wait. See us. You have 3 lanes of traffic and they make a 4th lane on the South Shoulder. So it's about returning to the place of becoming your brother's keeper and helping people in any situation. Yeah, and as we move forward to local government, let us move from being apathetic
Or indifferent.
and indifferent. Listen to them, ask them questions that concern you at your local level. What you're going to do. We know there is a challenge in terms of the central government hold on to the local government budget, that even some mayors were complaining that we usually get a tranche, and now we are in January and we're going to get the tranche from September.
Whoa.
And the money has been collected. So what is that about?
Yes.
What is that about? What is that about? So the whole thing of man to man is so unjust. Bob did right say it, man to man is so unjust.
Yes,
Yeah,
sir.
yeah, we have to do better. We have to
All
do
right.
better.
There's a point that I want to raise, because that's the point I want to leave you with. I posed a question to Pastor Percival early in the morning. I said, why does God harden Pharaoh's heart? Yes, why does God? Not why did. Why does God? Because Pharaoh continues to exist and to operate.
Pharaohs.
There are many pharaohs in different parts of society. These persons who hold on to God's people, will not let them go so they can worship, and operate at a level where they believe that they are answerable to no one. And the pharaohs know who they are, and you who remain in their clutches, you know who your pharaoh is. So the question I pose is, why does God harden Pharaoh's heart? It was a deliberate strategy executed by God, and he said it to Moses when he was putting him forth. I will harden Pharaoh's heart. Out of that principle in God comes a number of sayings which all of us can relate to. It is darkest before the dawn is the one that comes immediately to mind.
Darkest days before the dawning.
Yes. In other words, it gets worse before your relief comes. That means progressively, as you are applying pressure to bring something down, instead of it yielding to your pressure, it gets worse and worse until some point where you feel sure that it will never yield. Then comes the dawn, suddenly release, and those who follow scripture and the ways of God understand that God does harden Pharaoh's heart for a reason. So in our local situation, the pharaohs of politics and in the economy, their hearts will be stony towards us and the pressure we put on. But all of that brings it to a point where there comes a release. On Monday or Tuesday, whenever I was speaking of manifestation, because that pressure which we apply collectively will cause something to manifest. So it is necessary to be persistent in applying pressure.
Proactive.
I was contemplating this scenario, understanding this issue from an earlier reading of Exodus chapter 5, the way God set it up.
Yeah, that was already set up. You know?
Yeah. The way he set it up, he said to Moses, go in. You're going to do one demonstration of strength. They're going to match it because, as you said to me so smartly the other day, a part of the setup was to discredit the gods of Pharaoh.
Yeah, which is what they did.
And that's what's happening with us too in our society. We're going to see a thing happening. We are going to respond in our way to show that we are equal to it.
Man is going to respond.
Man is going to respond. And it's going to keep going, the stakes getting higher and higher until we get to the point where man himself is going to say, oh, my magicians can't handle that.
Can't do it. You know, that was so interesting.
Yeah.
Because 1, 2, 3, and then when the gnats came,
yeah.
the magician said, no, we can't do that, we
can't
can't
rise
do
to
that.
that level.
The blood and the thing, because even when Moses went and then put on the snake, put on
his rod, it became a snake.
Then put on
their rod, it became a snake.
But
Moses' snake devoured it.
Yeah.
So that's like a slight win because the snake did manifest.
Right.
They had to eat the snake, but so it's showing you the dominance, but it's not a clear runaway victory. Then they did blood in the Nile, and they make blood in water into blood too. So that's a draw. You can do it, I can do it. Then Moses, all the dust in Egypt became small biting creatures. We would have probably called them sandflies.
They became sandflies or chiga.
At that point, the magician said, no, we can't do that
That one, that's the finger of God.
Yes, that is the finger of God. So the gods were being discredited as well, which we see it happening. We came with vaccine, COVID doubled down and give you 10 more strains.
Oh, jeez.
So you can see that this is already being played out in our environment where the gods are going head to head, head to head, head to head. One is clearly losing. And we're beginning now to hear the pharaohs saying, we need God. What can your God do? Because Pharaoh himself asked Moses, all right, you can go, but bless me.
Bless me before you go.
Bless me before you go. Because they recognize that God. But in all of this, God said it. He says, them going, know that I am God.
They will understand.
They are going to understand that I am God. But here's what happened on the people's side as the noose is tightening. It's what happened to the Israelites. King of Egypt says, why are you taking the people away? Let them go back to their work. And then he turned to the supervisors and said, do not give them any more raw material to make the bricks.
Bring the
Let them
pressure.
go and gather their own straw.
Pressure
so
them.
the pressure increases, and that's
Pressure
the point
them.
I'm making.
Pressure them.
That pressure became boiling hot before God, who had set it up, says, all right, now for my master move. So you out there, you're going into the weekend, I want you to consider the patterns that God displays in how he sets things up, and do not be fearful or dismayed that the noose is tightening, and instead of you having more, the little that you have is being taken away, whether it is through the taxes on food or you've been laid off from your job because the boss can't keep you no more. Whatever the situation might be, instead of you seeing light, you're seeing increasing darkness. You know that kind of darkness, that the one that was in the plague? That's a part of it, you know. That the kind of darkness that you can feel it.
And it's so you can touch it.
When you see that darkness coming, just remember that the people in Goshen had light.
Yeah.
For the 3 days of darkness, they had light. But Goshen is a place that you've got to find. There is a Goshen for everybody, you know.
Yeah.
I'm saying this to you as we leave you, because Thursday we take our leave. I'm saying this to you because I want you to recognize the patterns in how God treats with us and locate yourself in the Goshen of his word, of his promises, of the prophecies spoken. Whatever your situation might be, there is a place of refuge and safety. I want you to find it, but I want you to know above all that as the noose tightens, the release is coming. So at 9:48 a.m., I think we need to call it a wrap.
But as you go into the weekend, you're
Yes.
I think you're gonna see increase movements in your
In the silly
neck of
season.
the wound. Yes, and everybody going to come around talking all kind of thing. Ask them the real hard questions about yourself. But remember, all authority is delegated from God. But you have a choice you have to make based on what people tell you.
All right. So as I give thanks for the people on the live chat who are steaming up the pages with some both insightful, as in full of insight, and insightful, as in driving people to madness and great displays of upset. The two types of comments are there. I just want to say thank you. I can't read all of what you have said, but I noted some of it is quite funny.
4 and 5.
Yes, Mr. Conrad.
4 and 5. 4 and 5.
All messages are directed to the right audience. I believe they've been received, and I know they will bear fruit, because we're not people who, when we are convicted at the heart, we don't do something about it.
Yeah.
I love it about Jamaicans, that once a thing gets caught in their brain, they move. We're people of conscience.
We are always. We
Yeah.
are spiritual people, you know.
Yeah, we're people of conscience. So we
Spiritual
move.
people.
When God say move, we move.
Yeah.
Thank you both here and back in the studio. Lloydie, have a great weekend. Pastor Percival and Mr. Producer, thank you both. Over and out.
Yeah. What would my friends?